Well, I'm a big believer that the more confused you are, the better, because that means you're actually paying attention. Because the landscape is constantly changing, and it's a very complex market. And I think at the end of the day, the biggest takeaway from all of this, and I think from any of these presentations, is that you need to empower yourself with the knowledge to be successful. And most people get involved with making films or the entertainment business out of passion, which is always the right start, but that's just the start. And when it comes down to really understanding, the end result, thinking about distribution in reverse, taking my class, which is launching in June, Entertainment Law Exposed, which is really something I've developed now over 10 years with the intent of really empowering producers and working professionals in a way that's never before been possible, making them less reliant on other representatives and be able to look to themselves to guide themselves to the place where they really want to go. I think that is really the takeaway, in that you need to understand the business, and you might be committed to the art side of things, and that's great, and your cause and your vision and your voice, but you got to understand how things are going to work once the film gets made, and then put the film together, kind of taking little baby steps backwards from there.
Now, one of the things that you're doing, you really are jumping into the new media.
Yep.
You're doing this online. And one of the things that we see a lot, especially working with students, is that they're trying to get access somehow. They hear about talent agencies, management agencies, and they hear about a group that, in truth, most of the time they have no idea even how to reach them.
Well, I respect that, because I was just like them. I'm an artist. I play piano and I sing and I write, and I never thought that this was going to be where my life was going to take me. And I started off practicing law, representing artists and writers in New York in the First Amendment and the media side, and then got very lucky to have gotten jobs at the two top talent boutiques, one in New York and then one out here in California. And it is a mystery. It is a world that is really secret. A lot of these companies, a lot of these law firms, agencies, if you go online and look at their website, there's nothing there. It's a world which people are really kind of intentionally kept away from, unless you get to a certain level where you're kind of invited into the circle. And again, what I'm trying to do with this class and with my background is really trying to give back to the artist community and really empower them to get within that circle and understand the dynamics, understand the way that the different players relate to each other, and the things that you really need to know about, both from a right side, about, okay, you want to make a kind of film, well, is this film even possible? Are there going to be kinds of legal limitations? Nothing breaks my heart more than when I see someone working on a project for years only to realize there's some serious rights issues which make it impossible for the thing to ever get picked up and distributed. So it's really about starting to break down those barriers, and I think now with the internet, I think now with the media, I think there are a lot of those opportunities, and people are now finally starting to grab a hold of them. And when you realize that it's not just a community which is limited to Hollywood. When you start speaking out and you start seeing festivals like this, it's now a worldwide, global community, and people really need to be connected. It's really exciting, and I think there are all kinds of new ways that people are thinking about connecting each other. And a big part of my class too isn't just learning the material in the class, but creating a community and creating a network of like-minded people who really care about these issues, and the kinds of things that can come out of those relationships are really exciting.
In your experience, where is the missed opportunity? Where is the missed opportunity for these filmmakers? It's like there's a perception now that is being put out there by YouTube and all that. Everybody's a filmmaker. Mm-hmm. I guess everybody can tape something, right?
Yep.
But a little bit different. It's like, that is the question that I hear a lot. So where is it that we're missing this?
Well, I think you have to really understand the reality of what you're doing and where it's going to go. Like, you can be very successful with making a movie that you don't even seek out theatrical distribution, but goes directly to VOD, and sometimes those are the films that are really the powerful ones that make a lot more money than someone who is really trying to gear into a theatrical distribution space, which they're never really going to get invited into, and that's okay. So it's really hard. I think there's so many different kinds of projects, and I think one thing which is really exciting about this moment in time is we're really experiencing a renaissance right now of filmmaking. People with very low entry costs can go and put together extraordinarily high quality productions. The question is, where do those productions go, and where do you reach out, and where do you build those relationships where they can get the distribution and get the visibility that they deserve? And I think every single project is really special and unique, and every project has its own story. I think from my perspective, being on the side of helping out, putting together financing, and then working on the distribution side, I often watch these films, and while I see the films being very exciting, what's even more exciting to me is the history of how the film even got made, the process of all the pieces coming together, and the financing, and getting the distribution. And every story is really completely different and unique to itself.
The last question that I think that from your perspective, because you're one of those people that is really relevant to this filmmaking process, are there some questions, or maybe one question, that filmmakers need to keep asking themselves when they're going through this process?
Well, I think the answer to that, most people would say, know your audience. And I think that's really true. It's like anything. If you're writing a great book, or you're putting together a movie and you say, oh, this is going to be great for everyone, everyone's going to love it. Well, that usually goes nowhere. But the more narrow an audience, the more you can find passionate people who are out there waiting for this content, waiting to hear the story. Well, then that passion then can start spreading, and can start spreading to people who don't necessarily realize they're passionate about that subject, but they pick up on the passion from others, and that can lead to a kind of very exciting momentum for a film. So I think that's really probably the core question I would always look to, is saying, really, who are the specific people out there who are dying to go and spend the money to go and watch this film? And once you realize who they are, you can start speaking to them, and then going even beyond that audience, and hopefully reaching more people than you even thought was possible.
Thank you so much.
Awesome, thank you.
Appreciate it.